You get 3 rolls on the dice tower, and they correspond to random questions that I have. So whatever you roll, that is where our conversation begins.
Do I just roll over here? In here?
Yeah, dice tower.
Oh, I see. 4.
Starting with a number 4. This is just a silly one that comes from Hal and Harper, but there's a lot of cereal had in this show, so I need to know, what is your favorite cereal?
I love Crunch Berries.
Crunch Berries.
Okay. Captain Crunch, but with the berries.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Lucky Charms is a close second.
Understandable.
But I love children's cereal. I don't think adult cereal is fun, and I don't want it.
What counts as like Cracklin' Bran? That's what my mom eats.
Like Raisin Bran. I don't want any of that.
But peanut butter puffins. It's my number 1.
Those are really good.
I can eat those with milk or without. Doesn't matter.
Those are.
So
and I
good.
do like Fruity Pebbles. Anything that's like so bad for you is my favorite
That's
cereal.
just like pure crap. Although, didn't they walk some of that back recently, and some of them are made with better ingredients than they once were?
Sure, I'm sure they're saying that.
Probably. I don't care one way or the other. I'm still going to eat them.
I'm still going to eat it.
All right, second roll on the tower.
Okay.
3. Hey, you're going from a light one to a really heavy one. This is one of my favorite questions on the list. It's called favorite, least favorite. I want to know your single favorite part of the acting process. Things like meeting your co-stars, putting your costume on, you name it. But then also not necessarily your least favorite, but just a part of the process where you still see room to grow for yourself.
Yeah. My favorite part, I think, and I think I'm going to, I'll waver on this. But right now, I think because I've been experiencing how long development of something takes, and as a producer now, the frustrations of that. So let's say that's my least favorite part of just the industry in general, I think, is the uphill battle of getting something actually made. It feels like a miracle every single time that it's so frustrating to, something from start to finish, I feel like is like usually 6 years. People have been sitting on scripts for 6 years, if not longer, before something gets actually made. And I think that's really sad. And it comes down to money, indie films being given absolutely no money. And, no one wants to take a chance on a first-time feature director. And those are the people who write these incredible scripts. That's incredibly frustrating to me. And I think everyone in this industry.
Understandable.
So right now, because of that, I think my favorite part right now is honestly getting to see once it goes into the world. Yes, filming it is really special, and I think its own special thing for me on set to feel like this catharsis through whatever character I'm playing, but it's also incredibly stressful. And I think I'm often really in my own world worried about whether I'm doing a good job or not. So once it's actually out, I'm not worried anymore. And I think that's where I can actually enjoy something, almost as an audience member, but just as a holy crap, we did it and it's out there and it's done and now people can enjoy it. It's just the most satisfying part.
I understand that. I have a feeling we're going to come back to some of those points in a little bit. But first, you get one more roll on the tower.
2.
Number 2. This is another Hal and Harper question because of a particular thing that happens, because I know you have some tattoos.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite impulse tattoo?
I've only ever gotten like one true impulse tattoo, and I don't like it.
Oh.
So I have, I think, 6 or 7 tattoos, and my one impulse one is this little girl with a flower petals around her head, and she has like this cute little underwear on, and there's a petal falling off. It was, it was something I saw on Pinterest. It's cute. It has no meaning, and all 4 tattoos that have no meaning, I just think it's not. I don't know why.
Some nice fine line work, though.
It's great fine line work. My Kaiju is a tattoo artist that I worked with in Vancouver a few times, and she's done my other, like, really my favorite tattoos. But this one is so small that it's kind of already, like, it's only 3 years old, and she's already kind of on her way out a little bit. But it's fine. It's fine.
I'll think about that all the time when I look at mine.
Do you have tattoos?
Well, I keep noticing that one on you.
Oh yeah, we've got our matching little. I felt
What is yours?
fell up the stairs the other day.
Falling up the stairs is better than falling down the stairs.
Right. This was my Dr. Wu tattoo.
Your Dr. Wu tattoo?
Yeah, do you know Dr. Wu?
Why do I not know Dr.
I think I don't want to put words in anyone's
Okay.
mouth. I don't know if he paved the way for single needle tattoos. Like the very intricate, delicate fine line tattoos. He became, let's say, he was like the most famous fine line tattoo artist. And I was 18 and I had just moved to LA and I was desperate to get a tattoo with him. And it was actually the most stressful experience. I had to call the shop like when they announced that his dates were opening up, and you had to just say yes to whatever time slot they gave you. And that time slot that I had, it overlapped with the movie Miss Stevens that I was in when I was 18. And I was so stressed that I wasn't going to be able to get my tattoo with Dr. Wu because it interfered with Miss Stevens, and I had to like call the shop day after day and be like, I have this appointment, but I'm shooting a movie. Can you please move it? And the guy on the phone was such an ass. But eventually I got in, and I got my tattoo.
It's lovely.
Thanks.
I love how when you said
it was so stressful.
Dr. Wu, the first thing I thought of, because this is inspired by Jurassic Park, is Dr. Henry Wu. He works in the lab.
Yeah, not the same guy, but
two very different people.
But very talented tattoo artists, yes.
I think it's a lovely tattoo, and I think that one is as well.
Thanks.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back for a new edition of Collider Ladies Night, one I've been looking forward to for a real long time. Lili Reinhart's finally in the studio. I'm so excited.
We've seen each other a lot this year.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, so I'm excited to have a longer, no time running out conversation.
We've done a couple quick ones.
Some quick ones.
I'm very excited to celebrate all of your accomplishments, but I just rewatched. I binged the whole thing again. Hal and Harper. I'm trying so hard not to curse at the beginning of this so the video doesn't get flagged, but eventually we will curse, and then I will say this properly, but just like, wow. It's so good. It's so good.
Thank you.
What is the movie you saw, the performance you saw, personal experience you had, you name it, that first made you stop and say to yourself, I absolutely have to be an actor?
I feel it was when I was quite young and I saw Nicole Kidman in Moulin Rouge. I think I was really struck with her beauty, one. Those red lips and that wig is just phenomenal, and the costume of it all. And I think I probably watched it, given what the movie is and what it's about. I didn't really know or appreciate what I was watching, but I was pretty young, and I think I just remember seeing how that looked like glamour to me, and I was so taken with it. And I don't really, I think it doesn't go any deeper than that. I think I just saw that movie when I was quite young, and it sparked something in me. And I loved musicals. I started out, I was a theater kid, which I kind of, don't usually, I'm like, I don't really talk about it because I'm so not a theater person now that it feels like a very separate, different turn that I took of like how I got into the industry was very theatery, and I did musical theater, and I was such a theater kid, and I was singing Legally Blonde the musical to myself all day long. And then now I'm so not really a musical theater person. So something took a shift in the middle.
When you say you're so not a musical theater person, is it because of the direction the industry pushed you in? Is that something you ultimately want to go back to?
As someone who I auditioned for Glee, and I tested for, I don't know how this happened, the Les Mis movie, which was never going to happen. I was 15 auditioning, and Eddie Redmayne had already been cast. Like, there was just no way that I was not classically trained singer. I don't know how that happened. But I spent a lot of my teenage years really auditioning for a lot of musical projects, and none of them ever worked out, which is fine. But I think I just veered so far away from a musical career that it's just my preference and taste now, I think. It's not that I have anything against it. I think I would love to do a musical movie, but it could not be on the scale of I don't know, I'd be really afraid to step into playing an iconic, already on Broadway musical character. I almost feel like it would have to be more of a brand new musical.
Okay.
But still, I'm like, ugh, I don't know.
I feel like everybody who watches Ladies Night knows what I'm about to say. How do you feel about like a very R-rated animated musical that has a
Give me
season
an
3 and 4
example.
renewal that I try to cast all of my favorites in? It's called Has Been Hotel.
Okay.
And it's wonderful. It's super smart. It's
I
wild.
love an R-rated animated
The
musical.
music is so good. Like right now, the majority of the ensemble is like packed with Broadway aces, and I don't know. Like I've never heard music quite like that in terms of how they just like blend different tones and also the subject matter they're covering.
Yeah. Oh, I need to check
It's about
this out.
Charlie Morningstar, like Lucifer's daughter, and she tries to get souls sent to hell, like rehabilitated so they could ascend to heaven.
Wow.
It's wild. It's amazing.
Do you know where I can?
Prime Video.
Okay, watch it on Prime.
High recommend. High
Yeah,
recommend.
I've been actually meaning to watch. I haven't seen K-pop Demon Hunters yet. I know. I need to see that. That's on my list. I've not seen a lot. And the other night at the Governor's Awards, they asked me, it was Vanity Fair was asking me these questions, and then they like never used any footage for my interview because I forget every movie I've ever seen when someone asks me what I've seen. But I have seen a few this year. I have not seen a lot, but I meant to say, and if they asked me again, I would say this year so far, I really liked Sorry Baby, and I really liked
beautiful.
Hedda.
I
watched Hedda.
Hedda energizes me in a way that very few films have.
If you say queer period piece, I'm sad. And I love Tessa Thompson, and I love Tom Bateman, who I just worked with.
Oh, yes.
The Love Hypothesis. So I knew he was talking about it, while we were shooting the movie, and I was like, I can't wait to see this queer period piece.
So good.
And I really enjoyed it. I watched it the day it came out.
What a smart spin on that story, too. It's like, how many times has Hedda been on stage, if not screen? And like, you just think that however many adaptations there have been, like, it's been enough. But no, you can keep bringing that story to life.
I'm a fan of making things gay. I just think why not? And it's so, we love it. I'm always here for something that's about a lesbian love story. And they're always, what's the term that I heard from a director? It's something about how often these queer stories end up with someone dead.
Oh.
Something, it's a term.
I know what you're talking about.
Is it like grave? No, I don't know what it is. It's something where all these lesbian stories are so tragic. And it's interesting. It's like an interesting thing that happens in cinema. When you think about it, yeah, it is true. Like, how often do you see something that ends happily for gay people in a movie or a show, including the one that I'm on? That's not tragic, I guess.
No,
but wait.
I mean, we'll get to the end of it because I'm curious to hear about like the interpretation and also just how beautifully complex the ending is, but. Hedda's great.
Yes,
Hedda's a great choice. I'm
Hedda's
moderating
great.
for Nia tomorrow night, too, so I have an excuse to watch the movie again tomorrow.
Yeah,
Not that I need it, but I'll take it. So I was reading a little bit about how your mom would drive you to New York to do auditions. And that's a scary situation to be in when you're so young and you're in that audition grind where I have to imagine the large majority of things you're hearing are no versus yeses. So when you were in that particular phase, do you remember the very first thing that happened that gave you kind of like your first spark of confidence, something that made you think like I'm good at this and I deserve to be here?
I feel... And this is tale as old as time for a lot of actors, but I did book Law and Order when I was 14.
Rite of passage.
And I know. And I was actually on my way to New York for an audition that my mom was driving me to, 8 hours from Ohio to New York. And I found out on the way there, I was going to New York. I was going to spend 2 nights in New Jersey, right outside the city, to audition for something. And on my way there, I found out that I booked Law and Order, so I knew it. So I had to stay for 2 weeks. And so we called my school and said, okay, she's about to miss 2 weeks of school. Thank God I had like 80% of my school work with me because otherwise I would have been screwed. But I was a freshman in high school. And that felt validating. I think it wasn't I don't know if maybe it was the first thing I had booked with my representation. I think it may have been. So it was like a nod that I'm not pursuing the right thing. You know, I grew up hearing as a theater kid, oh, your daughter's great. And she's great in this musical that's a community theater that who cares. But to actually get representation was a big step. And then to actually hear, yes, you actually booked a part on this beloved show was a big deal to me at the time. And really, I think was some gasoline for me to keep going.
Blame you.
Yeah,
I don't blame you. I also love the part that your mom kept driving you there. I've done the drive the other way before, and I'm like, oh my! And
it's a long drive, and I couldn't
drive
help
across
her.
Pennsylvania if you drive at night in the pitch black, and it's scary.
She was, I don't know. I think my parents must have just seen this energy in me that I had to be an actor. I just had this lust for life when it came to acting. And I think they wanted to do what they could to support it they were like the opposite of stage parents. They really were saying, if this is what you want, we're happy to support you. And I think they could just see how happy it made me. And obviously I'm not a parent, but seeing something that makes your kid really happy makes you want to do whatever you can to make them happy. And my mom would go out, and my dad would let me use his frequent, his points for the hotels or frequent flyer miles to fly, which I rarely did. And then my mom would drive me.
Such a beautiful thing to have.
I mean, it really is. I don't know how I got as lucky as I did or why my parents believed in me as much as they did, but they must have seen how just that it was sort of this. There was nothing else for me. I think it was just the destiny thing, that I was destined to be this performer child. I think they felt it.
They knew before anyone else did. It's a beautiful thing to experience. So that's one phase of the process. Then I wanted to ask you about making the move to LA. And the way I love phrasing this question, because I feel like a lot of times when someone's like, I'm going to pack my bags and move to Hollywood and become an actor, you could have a very specific dream-like vision of what that's going to be like once you land here. But then something else happens. So what did the dream look like to you? And how did that compare to what actually happened when you got here?
I think I envisioned, I'd move to LA and I would, it would take a minute. I think I wasn't a delusional. I had already had representation, which was helpful. I was on a guest star on a Fox show, and I had done a couple things here and there. So it wasn't sort of moving to LA with nothing. I had a team, but I didn't know anyone. And I moved by myself. And I found myself in a really horrible living situation in Burbank. I was living with a mother and the worst stage mother of all time, and her child, who was on a Nickelodeon show. She was like renting out a room in her apartment, and I was in the room, and I had to leave after a month. She was a nightmare. So I left and lived in a shared house with 6 people, all strangers. I was bouncing around. I was 18. I didn't know what I was doing. And I think I knew it was going to be hard, but it was really hard. And I wasn't getting as many auditions as I really thought my days would be booked up with auditions. But instead, I was like sitting around binge watching Dexter, waiting for, I just remember that memory. I'm like sitting in my bedroom watching Dexter on my laptop. And at the time, Skype was the thing. So I was Skyping with my mom and my family and my boyfriend at the time. It was trying to make friends. I didn't have any friends. And I'm like, how am I supposed to meet people? I didn't have a car.
Oh, no.
So I eventually rented one, but I was Ubering everywhere. I had like a couple $1,000s saved up from what I had done previously, but that was very quickly dwindling away. And I was not making anything. I eventually shot Miss Stevens and this other horror movie, but I wasn't like making money. And I was severely becoming mentally ill. I was really depressed. It was actually causing a lot of physical symptoms. I was really physically sick from my depression, which was scary, being 18 and alone and kind of wondering why I'm so sick. And I think one day I had a breaking point. It was a horrible day, and I Skyped my mom and I said, I need to come home. And she said, you can come home. You're welcome. You're welcome to come back. And it was 6 months into my journey in LA by myself, and I felt shitty to move back, but I also felt like this isn't the end. I'm coming back. I had bought a couple things in LA, like I lived in a furnished home, but I had bought a couple things for myself. I told my friend who lived in LA, I was like, hold on to these for me, please. And she did. And I moved back home for 6 months and got my job back at Pier 1 Imports that I was a sales associate at, saved up a little bit more money, and then moved back to LA when I was 19 because there was just no other, there was not a plan B. I didn't go to college. I didn't want to. I hated school and I was not about to go to more of it and pay to go to more of it. I didn't think I needed it. I had faith in myself. The road to getting there felt rocky and discouraging, but I ultimately knew there was not anything else that I could do. And so I moved back to LA and I said, if this doesn't work out for me within a year, I'm going to go to this one makeup school in Burbank that I know exists because I wanted to possibly pursue
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I wanted to pursue special effects makeup. That was a kind of a hobby of mine that I developed when I was 16 out of boredom. I just started making
so cool though.
Gory makeup and paint, face paint. But luckily it's when I moved back to LA, a month went by and I booked Riverdale. So
I love that. I feel like I have a lot of follow-up questions, but the first thing I have to say is like your mom sounds like the coolest. Like, I don't think there's anything better than having a parent who, when you jump into a high-pressure situation like that, tells you it's okay to come home.
Yeah.
Like not in a way where it makes you feel like you failed. Like,
not at all. Yeah.
It gives you that feeling that, come home, it's a safe place. Yeah. And then when you're ready, you can go back and do it again.
That's exactly what it was. There was zero, I was 18, and I feel like my parents have never been, you're leaving the nest and you're never coming back. And I never thought that I would have to go back. But it was it wasn't I have to gear myself up to ask to move home. It was like the most welcoming, of course you can come home kind of situation. And my mom's my best friend and I text her all day long and it's Amy. She's the best.
I love that. It's such a beautiful thing to have. I'll ask you one broader question before I jump into post-Riverdale, because I think this might apply to Riverdale, but it's a question that I've gotten in the habit of asking a lot lately because I think it's really important, especially when you start in this industry so young and there's so much high-pressure situations that you're in. Do you remember the very first time on a film or TV set that you felt the power of your own voice, a time when you realized you could speak up, you would be heard, and something could change for the better either on set or maybe on screen in the finished product?
I feel like that did not happen for me until Riverdale. I think I had done a handful of films and TV shows. I started when I was 12. I did my first pilot when I was 12, and then I booked Riverdale when I was 19. And I didn't think really that I had a voice until... And it took a few years on Riverdale, too. And I think it honestly came from building a relationship with Roberto, our creator and showrunner, was very, very receptive to me. And he always has been very kind and just receptive is a great word. I think if I felt maybe starting, I don't know, maybe in like season 3, I felt like if something didn't quite feel right, if it was a line, if it was something, I texted him, I reached out to him, and he said, sure, let's change it. Whatever, like, I want your opinion and I want your thoughts. And I think, obviously, as I would have been 21 or something, or 20 at the time, you really, and also just growing up in the industry and being a woman and feeling scared of when I walked onto set, they like tell you, oh, when you do this table read, don't fuck it up because you can be recast. It's sort of just this, they told, we felt that energy when we did the table read of Riverdale. It was this, and even now I see it in other actors that I know. It's just this looming fear of even when you book the job, it's still not yours. And it's really scary and intimidating. And I think I was scared for the table read of Riverdale. And, you didn't really feel safe until after the pilot was done. And even then they could have recast you and shot, put someone else in there. But I remember that being sort of a fear. And it really took, I think, a few years for me to feel that, oh, I actually know what I bring to the table here. And I think I can say what I want to say now. And
was there a specific moment that
I don't
happened?
remember specifically.
Fair enough.
But I'm sure it was, I think, to be honest, I had a lot of that show had a lot of musical elements in it, and I felt really uncomfortable dancing. I am not a dancer. I don't enjoy dancing in a choreographed way. And I think at some points I remember, and even in the later seasons, telling Roberto I didn't feel comfortable dancing. And he would listen to me. He'd be like, fine, you don't have to dance in this. And I'm like, great. But I tried to be a team player. And obviously when we did our musical episodes, I was going to be dancing. But I think sometimes when a song was thrown in there, I mean, I really had to dance a lot on that show now that I'm thinking about it. And it was not my favorite. It was not my favorite thing. But I tried to be a team player. As
you were saying that sentence, I'm like, someone's going to say something that speaks to me. But then you threw in choreographed dancing. Every time my friends want to go to dance, I'm just like, no. No choreographed dancing, no casual dancing, nothing. Like let me hug the bar and just stand here and I will watch and admire you.
I think there's something very cathartic about this. Was my COVID era was my friends. I quarantined with my friends, or I was at my house, and we would play whatever song. We each took our turn playing whatever music we wanted, and we'd blast it in my living room and just go off in our own separate corners, not looking at each other, not judging each other. Maybe we were drunk, maybe not, and just danced. And I think dancing is so, I think it's really necessary. I think there's a reason why people have been dancing forever and why it's like a ceremonial thing. I think it really helps your spirit.
I know you speak the truth. I know.
I mean, I'm not like some people wake up and put a song on and aren't dancing to themselves in their room. I'm not that person. I definitely dance when I feel called to dance, and it's a very private thing. No one's watching me dance, and I'm like letting it happen in a very spiritual way. It's not even dancing. I feel like it's more so just letting my body sort of move in a weird way. It just gets the energy out. I'm big on that. I'm big on the energy thing. Energy needs to move through your body, and I think dancing is a good medium to do so.
Probably not anytime in the near future, but eventually down the line, I'll take this advice to heart. And all of a sudden, we're going to reunite. And I'm going to be like, I'm a dancer.
And you're a dancer now.
I don't know about that, but we'll see. All right, jumping to Post-Riverdale. And I'm going to phrase this question a very similar way as I did the moving to in LA one, because this is another part of the journey where I feel like this idea really applies. When Riverdale was winding down, what did you picture for yourself in terms of what came next? Like your career goals, and how did that compare to what actually happened after the show wrapped up and you started to book other projects?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I thought right when Riverdale ended that all I would do was back-to-back movies. And the first thing I shot was Hal and Harper, which is a limited series. So I think I had just this idea that movies would be the thing and it would be easy and I would have all of these opportunities and I would get to really craft and shape easily what I do. And in reality, the strike happened right after Riverdale ended. So I was, and the effects of COVID and the strike really went into 2024 as well. Mm-hmm. So 2023, I shot Hal and Harper, which was amazing. And then I didn't do anything the rest of the year. And 2024 was challenging for me and every other actor I know. It was, nothing was being made, nothing was getting money, and I've always felt this way, and I really stand by it. I don't want to work just to work, ever. I love what I do, and I love acting, but I'm not going to film something just because I need a job. And I'm very fortunate to be in that position, and one day I could definitely not be in that position, but for right now and in 2024, I didn't feel compelled or like I needed to work just because I had the time to do it. I said no to everything except for American Sweatshop.
Good taste.
Thank you.
Good taste.
I only really want to do projects that make sense or speak to me in certain ways or are going to, sometimes you do a project because it's going to lead you to something else, and you just, I think every actor on the planet has done that, where it's not necessarily a passion project, but it's something that is leading to something else, or paying your bills. And I think I was surprised at how few things. I'm so picky, and I've been picky since day one, even when I had no right to be. When I was 14, I was picky. I was like, I don't know if I want to audition for this. And it's like, I've done nothing and have no right to say that. But that's how I kind of have always been. And I really try to follow this guiding light of, I think about my career as a whole and not as just these chapters of my career. I want to look back and be really proud of everything I've done and see the intention behind what I do. And I think, and I felt this way even as a kid, even though I didn't know how to articulate it, I didn't want to just do a project just to do a project, because eventually when you only do that, you're suddenly having a career that you didn't want. And I think because I was so picky, and because I'm so picky now, I feel really proud of the work that I've been able to do. I don't feel like I just said, I'm randomly, I just did that just to do it. I think I can stand by every project and know why I did it, the intention. I always get something out of it. And I think I truly want to do this until I'm 90. And I want to think that in a career where you have maybe 25% control of your career, in that industry, I want to feel that I milked that percentage of what I could control. And that control comes from me being picky. And I also understand it's because I have the privilege to do that. And that came from being on 137 episodes of Riverdale and the success of that, and the movies that I shot, Look Both Ways and Hustlers and Chemical Hearts, while I was shooting Riverdale. I just think everything needs to have intention for me. And that's how I try to move forward now. It's why I'm saying no to everything, because I shot a lot this year and I worked a lot this year. Yeah. But I want to I want to have fun. And I think that's important and something that can be lost. It's like, oh yeah, it's a good script. Okay. That's fine. There's a lot of good scripts, but I need to feel passionate about it. I need to drop my life for 2 months and go shoot this thing, which is a big thing. It's not just, just go do this movie. It's my life. And I think people forget that. It's my time and it's my life. And I'm like, no, I haven't seen my boyfriend in 8 months and I need to spend time with him, in December and January. And I think I just am trying to, I would like to have a life with my career.
Totally. I think about that all the time, especially doing this show. It's not even just time. This is part of the reason why I'm in awe of what actors do, and probably why I could never do it, is you give so much of yourselves to these projects and characters too. And it's just, I don't know, being able to put yourself in specific headspaces and let yourself go to that so regularly is especially when I have a hard enough time living in my own darkness and complications. And then you all just hurl yourself into that. And then, actually, I'll throw this question your way. When you do tackle material that is either darker or heavier or something that maybe could actually hurt your heart.
Sure.
What is the key to practicing self-care so that you can go there for a character, but also safely pull yourself out of it in the end?
I think, Hal and Harper, for example, is a dark show. It's emotional and has a lot of heaviness to it. And I knew that going into it. But to be honest, I look at that as an opportunity to work through, to be cathartic. I take advantage of Forbidden Fruits has a moment like this, and Forbidden Fruits is very it's a movie I have coming out in 2026. My character is very rooted in anger and rage, and then in Hal and Harper is rooted in a lot of, I think, frustration and fear and sadness. And I think the root of each character, I have all of those emotions inside my body, and so all I have to do is just tap into that, and then it's like turning a hose on allowing it to have an avenue to come out of my body. So I don't even feel that I need to necessarily create. The only boundaries I need to put up is when I go from project to project to project, that each of them has an emotionally, I mean, I would hope that all the characters I play are a bit emotionally demanding. That's why I do what I do. I almost would feel, and it's sort of, I'm like, what's the point? I don't want to play a character that doesn't have an emotionally cathartic moment. But so I let myself find healing through each character by allowing myself to feel those emotions in real time. You know, if my character feels grief, you know what I'm thinking about? My own grief. Mm-hmm. And I'm letting that come through. I think I just view it, I mean, why not? I'm going to heal myself while I'm while I'm experiencing these
things. That, but like a step removed. I get it through your performance.
Sure.
But I don't have to directly put myself in, but I thank you for helping me process my day-to-day traumas.
But that's the beauty, I think, of just a film and television. Mm-hmm. When you watch a character go through something and you get to see their emotional response, it can be... You can have an empathetic experience as an audience member watching something and cry with them. And I don't know.
Hal and Harper made me cry
yes,
a lot.
I'm glad.
2 times over.
I'm glad.
I'll jump into that full force now. So first thing I want to know is about, one, meeting Cooper, but then also the first things you saw in him that signaled to you he's not only going to be a good scene partner for me, a good director for me, but he's also going to be able to do something that is near impossible in this industry, which is to helm an independently produced TV show.
Oh, yeah. I had got the call when I was in Hawaii on vacation that my manager wanted me to have a general meeting with Cooper. And so on my flight home from Hawaii, I watched Cha-Cha Real Smooth. I hadn't seen it. I hadn't seen Shithouse. I hadn't seen Cooper's work. And we met for a coffee, and we were joking about this the other day. We met for a coffee in Sherman Oaks at this at Marmalade Cafe, and we both ordered lattes, but they didn't have oat milk. And we were both like, interesting that this place doesn't have oat milk. I don't know. It was a stupid little that's a stupid story. But that's how we met, and we had a general meeting, and he's told me broadly about this show that he had where I would be playing his sister. And that's, kind of it. Like, kept his cards close to his chest, didn't reveal much, and sent me just the pilot after the meeting, and I devoured it and loved it. And I was like, okay, can I have the whole thing? And then I think a little bit of time went by. He was playing hard to get. He really was. And he sent me the whole 300-page PDF of, at the time, 10 episodes, and now it's 8. But I read the whole thing. I read it on my flight from LA to Vancouver to go. I was still shooting Riverdale. So I read it on the flight. I finished it the night I got home, and I was so floored. I was like, wow, this opportunity is coming to me right now. I was shocked because I don't get content I don't want to say content. I don't get scripts like that often.
I hate how that's become a bad word.
It's a bad word.
It is a bad word.
It's a bad word.
But it's a bad word for bad reasons.
We didn't make it that way.
I know.
Yes, it's just become a bad word.
It's like a habit, too, to say it.
I know,
now
it is
makes me mad that I can't say it anymore.
Yeah, I know. But I told him, of course. I was also surprised, I think, because I had done, just my body of work hadn't really pointed to, hey, she's the girl for this. So I was surprised. And it was also my own chip on my shoulder from, why are you thinking of me for this deeply beautiful part that I don't necessarily feel like you must be going out to bigger people or more established people or whatever. It was, just insecurity. And he was like, no, you're my first choice. And I fell in love with it. And we were like, we're doing this together. And I felt and still to this day, really, I could not have crafted something better for me at that time in my career than Hal and Harper. Coming off of a 7-year show, desperately wanting to, do something next that felt tonally grounded, human, raw, could not be more different from Riverdale because I wanted to show people that I could do something else. And it was Hal and Harper. And I had a month off between the ending of season 7 and Hal and Harper. And I had to kind of tell Cooper a little bit. I was like, I need to go on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
You have to let me leave for a month. And he was like, okay, you need to lock in when you get back. I was like, I will be locked in. I can't do this until I go on vacation. It was just like a metaphorical shedding of, I need a break from real life for a second. I went to Tulum, had a great time, came back and locked in. And I had, having seen Cha-Cha Real Smooth, I had no... that to answer your question, that convinced me enough that Cooper, and then I watched Shithouse. That was enough proof that he was so capable of telling a very human, emotional story, and also the way that it was going to be shot was going to feel so intimate. And I thought that this story of this family in Hal and Harper was going to be serviced incredibly well through independent filmmaking. It wasn't going to be controlled by a studio that wanted it to be commercial. This is independent television. It is the very definition.
I'm fascinated by indie TV right now.
Well, what else is that? I'm like, what other independent television is there?
I guess I largely have Sundance to thank for this because they are prioritizing indie TV at the lineup right now. But I also cross paths with Mark Duplass and his team a lot over there. And
yes, I remember
Creep
that.
Tapes season 2 is out now. It goes on Shudder, but like they're doing stuff their way, and it's allowing them to take bigger swings and like hold even tighter to the core concepts that they started with versus feeling the need to conform to certain, network or streamer requirements.
Well, the streamer requirements were what ultimately wasn't getting the TV show sold. We could not sell the show, which was the most devastating thing career-wise I've ever experienced. Cooper and I collectively. It's his baby. He's a writer, director, editor, actor, producer, and I'm the actor in an EP. But we both just were floored that the feedback from every streamer was, we love this show. It's not right for our platform. And this was, after all the positive feedback of everyone who watched it, but just not wanting to give it a chance on the platform. And this was in the era of Baby Reindeer, where it just didn't make sense. It did not make sense to me. I was like, look at this dark subject matter that is being so widely and lovingly received on this platform. And every other, I just didn't understand. They just didn't want to give it a chance. And it was devastating, to say the least. Like, we felt that we had made this show and it would never be seen.
Now it's being seen, and what I love seeing is it catching on. I posted, because I was rewatching it yesterday, and I loved it, and I like shouting about the things that I love. I posted like a little Instagram story, and the amount of people that wrote back to me and were like, I just found this and started it, and I'm crying every 5 minutes, and it's just filling my heart in ways that other shows aren't. It's getting out there, and I like seeing that happen. Before I start to interrogate you with scene-specific questions, I did want to make sure to incorporate one scene partner question. And this is going to be like one question where you can give me like 5 answers, because I want to hear a little bit about everybody, because Harper's the kind of character where literally everyone in this show we see her interact with, like they bring something out in her or they contributed to making her the person that we meet in the show. So can you maybe tell me something about each of your scene partners that helped you unlock something in your own character that you might not have been able to without them specifically?
Oh, God. I mean, Cooper obviously being my writer, director, having him stand across from me, be my brother. We have just this natural brother-sister chemistry. I don't know where it comes. I mean, it just is there, and we're lucky. That's why I think it works, and that's why we feel like siblings. I think people tell us that we feel like real siblings, and we kind of act like it in real life. We are just very sibling energy together. And I think his playfulness, brings out like this older sister. I am an older sister. I have an older sister and I have a younger sister. So I am a middle child. And he brings out this sort of older sister energy in me, which is obviously paramount for Harper being the eldest daughter. And then, God, Aaliyah, who plays Jessie, Harper's girlfriend, really brings out this just this, you want to take care of her. You want the relationship between Harper and Jessie to work. And I feel that you want it to work because of Aaliyah's soul shining through and her, seeing Aaliyah's playing Jessie's desperation for this relationship to work and desire for the relationship to work. You root for it as an audience. And I think she's what is, the heart of Harper and Jessie is really with Aaliyah and her beautiful, just like, you just want to hug her. Addison, who plays Audrey, plays this other woman in Harper's life. And I think Addison is a mother in her real life. And I think you want to be taken care of by her. You want her to nurture you. And I think so when playing Audrey, it was easy, in Harper Audrey scenes, like to fall back into sort of just this position of, because Harper so desperately wants to be taken care of, having been the caretaker her whole life, taking care of her brother and her dad, that when you have a woman now who's sort of doesn't need to be taken care of, but can offer you something, I think that's this motherly figure that Harper was looking for, and that's what Addison has. And then Mark, it's just Mark Ruffalo, and it's just funny to me that I just got to work with him, and I just feel very lucky that I got to work with him, and he's so present. He's so present with you. And I think the relationship between Harper and Dad is so, when you see young Harper at age 9, which for those who don't know, I play the 9-year-old version of my character and the 24-year-old version, but the 9-year-old version really gives her dad the hardest time for not being a good dad, for not showing up for his children emotionally. And Harper has to bear the weight of being the caretaker of her family. And so she has resentment towards her dad. And I think playing sort of this salty, resentful, jaded 9-year-old towards Mark, you feel bad because Mark is in the show as dad is sometimes not trying at all, but when he is trying his best, Harper doesn't want to give him any slack because she's so fucking mad at him for abandoning them emotionally. And then when she's a 24-year-old, I think she's forgiven him, and she also just has a lot of compassion for him. They don't talk about it. It's not talked about what happened with their mother, but she has, as an adult now, is able to recognize my father had to grieve and go through his experience alone. He didn't have anyone. He couldn't talk to a 20-something-year-old daughter and have that emotional, connection. He was raising children. And I think as an adult, Harper is able to understand that, and it's sort of just this unspoken compassion between the two of them. And then I did not work with Betty as much as I wanted to, but Betty Gilpin is the sunshine of my life. I think she is such an incredible actress, and I would do anything to work with her again in any capacity. I want to be on set with her all the time and just talk to her. I read her book before.
Her book is so good. I listened to the audiobook, and just hearing her story and her words.
I haven't heard her say,
something about, in particular, with her book versus any other book like that I've read. It's something about hearing it in her tone of voice is just so perfect.
I need to hear that.
It's so good.
Betty is so her heart is on her sleeve, and I think so is her character Kate. And so you just, again, it's like someone you want to give a hug to. So those are the main cast that I worked with.
Adore your ensemble. Everyone's so good. All right. With that being said, now I'm going to raise the spoiler warning for a few things. We're going to talk about the entire show, so everything is fair game. I feel like so many of these questions come down to like, how did you do it and make it so powerful? I will go with... Let's start with a scene from episode 5 because this line just really struck me. It's a scene between Harper and Jessie where Jessie is first telling her that she got the Dallas job. It's 2 scenes that are cut up, but I'll kind of bunch them together. And she has one line where she tells Harper, I think I need to be away from you. You're like not really here. You're gone. And when she says that out loud, like the first thing I thought is like what would I do if someone said that to me? Like something about that in particular just like it feels so devastating and like I would run the risk of feeling even more lost if that was my reality. So I guess what was it like figuring out how Harper would respond to hearing something like that, especially when it's a sentiment that is echoed throughout the show too?
It is because you see Kate say the same thing to Dad. She goes, "Where are you?" all the time. And I think the depression and sort of disassociative states between Harper and Dad really parallel each other. And that's intentional, obviously. Cooper wanted Harper and Dad to feel that they feel the same things a lot of the time. And that scene in episode 5 where Jessie and Harper are really at this crux of their relationship of, are we going to keep doing this or not? You know, and even in the scene leading up to it where they're trying to connect at this pool where they once snuck into to make out with each other, and they are trying to kind of relive a glory day 6 years ago in their relationship, and they can't create that love again. But I remember shooting those scenes, and Harper is trying so hard and this is so sad, but she's trying so hard to be in love with someone that she's not in love with anymore. And I think that's why in that scene, Aaliyah, as Jessie says, you're like gone, is what she says. And I think it's true. And it sort of just finally puts a fine point on the fact that Harper has been 1 foot out her relationship for probably over 6 months now. She's been mentally leaving the relationship, and that's so hard. And I've seen that in real relationships, whether I've personally experienced or see other people experience it, when someone in a relationship decides they're not in it anymore and they don't let the other person know. That's devastating because you're slowly being emotionally abandoned. And that is what Harper is doing to Jessie. And it's not the right thing to do, but it's something that we all know someone or have been with someone who has experienced that. And I think I had to go into playing Harper understanding that I was playing a woman who's cheating on her partner. I'm not excusing her behavior. I'm empathizing with it. I understand why she does what she does, and it doesn't make it good. But that's that for me.
As you described that too, it just like speaks to the complexity of the show, because then I'm thinking about the phone call she has with her dad after, where like he doesn't give her what she needs in the moment, but he literally says what you just said. The fact that like you have to tell her.
Yeah. Yes. Those phone call scenes. Yeah. That's episode 7 I think that's episode 7.
Maybe.
Where they talk on the phone.
Possibly.
I don't know.
I know some moments with specificity here. I think that might be 6 or 7 though. I'll jump to 7 actually. Here's some moments with Addison that I really wanted to highlight. Oh, there's so many parts of this episode that I think are just so beautifully acted for the two of you. I want to know specifically about what you like to do for her to be a supportive scene partner, in particular with the opening scenes where like she's just telling Harper everything about how being away from her children makes her feel. And like Harper is just so what she needs to hear in the moment, like as far as the characters go, but I want to know for you as a scene partner, as an actor, what are you giving to Addison so that, you know, she can basically emote to that extent when the role hadn't quite demanded it before that moment?
Well, Addison is just, she can just do it. She's so tapped into her emotions. I just had to sit across from her on a couch. I think it was important between Harper and Audrey that Addison was leading those scenes. She's leading the conversation. She's the mother in the room, and she's the mother figure that Harper doesn't have. So anytime she opens her mouth, Harper's listening. It's like mom's talking. And I know that's Freudian and weird, but it's sort of just was the energy of I'm Harper, I imagine, just kind of just being at like the beck and call of Audrey, and Addison I just led the way, and whatever she was saying was making me cry. It's like never scripted in the script to cry, and yet 300 times it happens over and over again. But it's just because Cooper writes women weirdly well, so well. And he wrote this when he was in his early 20s, understanding the complexities of just women and relationships, and also like a gay relationship. It just, I don't know how he did it, but I just was trying to be a listener for Addison. I think letting her take the reins and just as the actor opposite her, whatever she needs. We had, because it was such a small, intimate shoot and set, it's just quiet. It's just quiet. There's like a lot of respect for the actors doing their thing, and there's just a lot of quiet on set always, which is my preference.
It's such a beautiful, like I keep thinking also about the sound machine. Like what a great way to end the show too.
Yeah.
I thought that was like a really nice thing to, just emphasize that maybe they're not together, or at least I don't think they're going to be together. I think she actually is going to go to London, but that her influence is still on her and it's improving the situation.
Yeah.
So now later on, I love this line too. I love this line, but I love your reaction to this line. It's when Audrey tells Harper, because they were just talking about her going to London, I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just saying you are. It's just like, what brilliant writing too. But that was kind of a first as far as emotional responses go from Harper too, because like it's such a beautiful thing to say, but that was a moment where I could see like the sheer panic on your face, which I thought was a really interesting choice.
Is that where they're post karaoke?
Yeah, they're at the karaoke party, I think.
Yeah. So Audrey's basically giving Harper permission to go pursue this job in London that she's been wanting to, but is afraid to leave her brother and her dad behind. And I think it's that thing where it's like, oh shit, if I choose myself, I lose something else. And again, it's something that's very relatable, like not choosing yourself so that you can satisfy a relationship, even if that relationship is not meant. I believe in divine timing, and I think Harper and Audrey are just not. It's not quite their time yet. Maybe it never will be
yet.
Maybe not yet. But yeah, that line is so interesting. I think if I heard that, I might crumble into pieces if someone said that to me. I'm thinking if I were pursuing someone and they knew that I needed to go pursue my own dreams and couldn't be in a relationship right now, but they were saying, I will be here, but you can't be. And I understand that. I mean, that's just the most empathetic thing in the world, which I think Audrey just kind of personifies empathy in this whole show, which is which is all Harper needs. She needs someone who's telling her it's okay to choose herself in a world where Harper's being kind of crushed by her codependent brother and her dad who's starting a new family. She doesn't have anyone who's saying, yeah, go choose yourself, go do the thing. And that's what her Audrey is.
I love that. There's so many lines where, in particular that one and a bunch of other things Audrey says that I'm like, you know what? I'm going to carry that with me.
Yeah.
I understand why Harper is drawn to that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
I will ask two more specific scene questions before we get to our last ladies' night question. Probably obvious scenes that I'm going to zero in on, but I want to touch on the fight between Hal and Harper. I am curious because for the most part throughout this show, like they're on the same wavelength enough, and they are mostly supportive of one another, and then like he just loses it. He just loses it. What is the biggest difference between how you and Cooper need to prepare for a fight like that versus pretty much everything else that happens in the show?
I think that fight, I feel like we had to ramp up a few times. We had to do it a few times before we got to the full screaming at each other, because I think it's Hal's character is watching his sister choose herself, and that's terrifying to him because it means that who's going to take care of him. So he's being selfish, and she's being selfish by choosing herself. And I think, it was also he gets physical with her, and that scared Cooper a little bit. But I grew up with an older sister, and I'm not, I'm like, I'm not afraid to be manhandled is the wrong word. But like, we were safe on set, and we were just talking about this the other day. He's like, if you watch it, he's like very gently guiding me to a couch and laying me down. It's not super physical. But yes, looking in someone's face and screaming at them, it's interesting. And I felt like we did have to ramp up to it. But there's also, we have to like acknowledge the fact that when I think about the memories from this show and shooting the TV show, I almost forget that it was a set and that other people were there because it was so intimate. It really felt like when I think about shooting that scene, I don't remember a camera being in the room. I just feel like I was able to do a scene with my scene partner. The camera's there, but I'm not sensing it. It's just, I'm not even thinking about it. I feel, and that's so special, I think, about Cooper's work is you almost feel like you shouldn't even be there, that you're watching something, you're just watching people's lives. And so, we broke the scene up in half between in the bedroom, and then he follows me out or I follow him out into the living room. But I think, we just had to amp up to it a few times and kind of tap into. It was also, I think we filmed that towards the end of the shoot itself. So we were able to build the fun and happy and brotherly, sisterly dynamic. Those are not correct words, but that by the time it was time to shoot like an intense fight scene, we could just do it. And I think it was really hot and sweaty that day. So we were both sweating profusely. And like when I'm watching the scene, both of our eyes are like bulging out of our heads. Like we're so mad at each other, but so focused, and it's so desperate and sad. I don't know. It's just the writing was there. All we had to do is say it.
So well written. I still can't fully compute how his brain works and how he can do this.
I'm trying to get him to write a movie for me. And I don't know about what. It can be whatever he wants it to be, but I'm kind of just desperate to work with him again in the sense that he's such an incredible writer that I'm like, whatever story you want to tell, I would love to help you tell it.
Whatever the two of you do, sign me up. I will be the first one in that theater or sitting at home. Like, you want a movie, but I'll watch another show. I'll watch a movie, you name it. So the other scene that I do have to touch on is the end when you're playing young Harper and you run away and then Dad ultimately catches up and there's just that like pretty epic emotional meltdown. I think what you do when you play young Harper is especially phenomenal throughout the series, because if I were to read something like that on the page, I'd be like, how can an adult actor actually make that come across like as authentic and not necessarily like putting on a childlike performance, but like that particular moment feels especially difficult in that respect to me, especially because like what she's screaming. So what is it like capturing the fact that that is a 9-year-old's reaction to what she has just experienced, but while also making it feel like authentic and tethered to 24-year-old Harper?
Yeah, I think for playing...
you do it all.
Thanks. I think playing 9-year-old Harper in general, I wasn't playing a true 9-year-old. I wasn't trying to mimic the mannerisms or speech pattern of a 9-year-old. I think that's important to say. Whereas like Hal, Cooper's character, is really kind of trying to play like a true 7-year-old. And mine is just a bit different. I also think Harper at 9 is not... Like if she's annoyed, you know, if you're 24 and you're annoyed, you're usually going to hide it, or you're pretty good at masking it. Young, annoyed Harper is not, there's no one to hide it to. Like there's no one to mask it from. She's annoyed at school. She's annoyed with her classmates. She's annoyed at her dad. And when her brother's annoying, she tells him he's, you know, there's no hiding it. And I think... So we Cooper and I talked about this, but like playing young Harper, there's no mask that's just there. And like, what would someone who has no mask of their emotions do, who's also emotionally stunted because she can't feel her emotions to their fullest degree? So if you can't feel your sadness, you're going to be angry. So I think young Harper's mode that she's in is just inherently angry, and that comes from the sadness underneath, but she can't tap into that until the final scene, where we all know we all ran away from home as a kid. We never make it very far. I'm like, I always made it like down the block. I think I got to the end of the street. Yeah, and then turn around. So it's one of those things where Harper runs away from home for a second, and I think all she really needed was to have her dad chase her down the street. I think that's what that is. I think she needs her dad to come to her for once. And in that moment, you see him come to her and take care of her for the first time as a kid. She's being held since their mother passed away. Like, she's being held by her dad in a way that for so many years as a kid, she hasn't been. And so we knew it was the emotional climax of the show, and there's a lot of pressure there to make sure that I could get there. And I did, and we did it only twice. We didn't need to do it any more than that. I don't know what take was actually used, but it just felt really powerful, and it was the scene that I was like dreading but also looking forward to, because again, I think like an emotional cathartic moment is healing. For me, I enjoy it. I think like crying is really... If I'm going to cry, it might as well be a camera in front of my face, because it might as well have like some sort of helping others have a catharsis with it, you know? And I think that's the scene where people, when they watch the show, cry with me. And so it sort of gives permission. I think you're allowed to cry at that moment. Maybe other times you're not so sure you should cry or can cry, but that's the moment where the show goes, no, you can cry.
Yeah. No, I cried then. I cried a couple other times leading up to that moment. Just because I brought it up before briefly, do you think that Harper ultimately goes to London and is happy with her decision? Have you thought ahead for the character?
I think she did go to London, and I don't know if her and Audrey end up together. I would like to think maybe when she comes back they do, but I think Harper does venture to London, and people ask about a season 2, and it's like, this is a limited series.
Yeah.
And it's meant to be, and I think the family and the end of this season and the end of this show is exactly what it is. It just is like a 4.5-hour movie, basically, to think about it that way. But yeah, I think good things happen for Harper because she chose herself. And I think good things happen for people when they have boundaries and choose themselves, even though it's really fucking hard sometimes.
Yeah, I feel like I couldn't never put into words how to like write a script that could capture it too. And like the way Cooper is able to capture everything you just described is like really astounding.
Impressive.
I don't think I've seen a movie or show that does it quite this well. So I adore it.
Well, thank you.
We've hit the last question of Collider Ladies Night. Every single episode of the show ends with this particular question. I find that in film and television, we give each other awards. I love that. We should keep doing that. I think it's lovely. But nobody in this business tells themselves good job as much as they should. So I want to know something you accomplished making Hal and Harper that you'll always be able to look back on and say, you know what? Real proud of what I did there.
I mean, I'm proud of the whole show. I'm proud of my performance in it. I think this type of acting, because you have to acknowledge also that each genre each project has their own kind of style of acting. A rom-com is going to be very different from something like this. And I think I really was able to do this tone of show that I've been kind of dying to do forever. And I guess I would say I'm proud of the emotional lengths with which I could go for her. I think having not, had Harper's experience growing up, I really felt like I could tap into empathy for her and just like deep care. And I think, I'm proud. I'm proud of the performance, which is hard to say sometimes.
That's why I asked the question.
It feels weird, but I'm so proud of the show. But I will say, yes, I'm proud, and I'm glad I got to play a 9-year-old because that'll never happen again.
I mean, the show is one of a kind in that respect.
It's one of a kind. It is.
I'll semi-walk my question back just to also emphasize, because I think when a show is of this quality, and also we need to start putting a bigger spotlight on independently produced television, this should have a big space in award season as it progresses. I'm just one person, but I really do think that the more people who watch this, the more that will be right on that boat with me. So sending all good vibes your way. I'm going to say congrats on everything you've accomplished on Hal and Harper and all the good stuff coming your way in the future.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.